Renowned French-Iranian photographer Reza Deghati, best known simply by his first name, Reza, grew up in Iran under the Shah in the 1960s. He was imprisoned and tortured by that regime, and like many, felt hope at the start of the Islamic Revolution in 1979. But it quickly gave way to repression, and just days before Reza planned to leave the country, he learned he'd been sentenced to death for his photographs. 40 years later, he's witnessing another uprising from afar, and like many exiled Iranians, is using his voice as an artist to support it. We're honored to have Reza join us by video to give us his reflections on the protests as they mark 3 months. Reza, it's an honor to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I imagine you haven't been able to return to Iran since you left all of those years ago. How would you describe your relationship with your home country?
Well, I'm in a constant contact, even over the 40 years, but especially these days, these past days, constant contact. Actually, I'm not far from border. I just arrived in Azerbaijan, Baku, to be more close to the Iranian border in case that something's happened. So I could be one of the first journalists going inside Iran. And the regime, by all means, he knows now that these are the last days, actually, of the regime. They know about it. And we have a lot of signs showing that they are planning to leave. In one of the districts of Tehran it were called the billionaire district, that where most of the Ayatollah and Ayatollah's family were living there. In the past 3 weeks, all the villas is sold for under 30% of the price. And these are the villas that district of the billionaire was mainly Ayatollahs and ministers and the head of the government were living in those houses. So the fact that they are selling their houses 30% of the price, it shows that they are planning to leave. A lot of them, they have already sent their families outside. This is also happening. So the signs that this revolution, this first woman revolution in the history, finally is going to reach his goals, which is a freedom for Iranian and freedom for Middle East and freedom for Afghanistan also, because the regime is the one that was helping Taliban, that was helping Hafiz Assad and Hezbollah and the Yemen, which is going to collapse. And by collapse of this regime, there has been a new era on the whole world that will come up.
And so you've already positioned yourself close to the border in case the regime falls. How soon do you expect that that could happen?
Well, in the history, I have seen the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's happened in 3 days. 3 days before, nobody was believing that the Soviet Union will collapse. We have seen even the collapse of the Shah regime. It happened also, even if it was a lot of demonstration before, but the last days are very important. And the sign is showing that it may happen soon, actually.
And what do you think it is about this particular protest movement that has been so dangerous to the Iranian regime and has brought them to the point of collapse?
The fact is that nobody's afraid. This new generation, the Z generation, this is a generation which I have been knowing them, not only in Iran, but in Africa, in South America, in Europe, because I'm also educator. I'm teaching. I have an NGO teaching and training young generation to the photography, being a reporter. And all around the world, I have been seeing these new generations coming, which is not only a generation of Iranian young. It's the same that in Buenos Aires. It's the same that in Rwanda and Burundi. It's the same that in Saint Denis and Avignon and in Sicily. All these youths, they are going to change now. They are connected to each other. They know that the world is different. And I'm 100% sure that this generation, it has nothing to do with everything we have seen before. They are much more clever. They are much more stronger. They are and also they know how to deal with the different situation. The Revolutionary Guard of Iran or the militia of Iran, they are saying that we don't understand them. They are doing the thing that we never thought that one person could do, and they are not afraid. One incredible example that will remain in the history is the second young boy that was executed by hanging. They filmed him with banded eyes and asking him, "What is your last wishes?" He, so he said, "My last wishes is that I don't want you read Quran. This is the tradition that reading Quran and making Muslim prayer." And he said, "I don't want a Muslim prayer. I don't want you to read Quran about me. I want everybody be happy. I want everybody comes and laugh and make party over my body." This is the generation. This is a generation that is totally broken with the clergy, that has totally broken with the tradition, with Islam also. The Islam in the future Iran will have no place. This is also happening now in Iran.
That is an incredibly powerful statement. And Reza, you were there at the Islamic Revolution in 1979, and you saw how it gave way to something that many people had not expected and weren't hoping for. What do you imagine happening next now in Iran if the regime falls?
The whole thing has changed now. As I was mentioning, that the connection between the people 40 years ago, we were still in a hierarchy of the one man being up and then everybody is following him. As you see, if in 90 days now, there is no a single leader. There is no leader. That's the incredible thing that's happening all around the world also, that these connections through the internet is creating hundreds of the people becoming one leader, thousands of them becoming leader. It's a new things happening. It's a mutation, social mutation that happening all around the world, especially with this generation. So we don't think and we don't believe that in the future we will have again someone like Khomeini or someone like Shah, or that will become a dictator and bring the whole country again, on this situation. It's total. Now, if you look, 3 days ago, the Iran was expelled from the Women Council of the United Nations. They are totally isolated. They had only 4 or 5 countries that were still protecting Islamic Republic. One is the North Korea, another one is Russia, other one is Syria, the other one is Armenia, and China. These are the 5 countries that is still protecting Iran, that is still voting for him. The China, which was the biggest one, they just 5 days ago went to Saudi Arabia and make a deal with Saudi Arabia and Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Kuwait. So it's gone. The China would sign agreement with the Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries. So it's already out of Iran. Now we have Russia, Syria, North Korea, and Armenia. These are the 4 countries now that protecting Iran, which Russia being the biggest one himself is now in Ukraine. So Armenia and North Korea and Syria, the 3 of them, they don't have a much of the, I would say, the weight to helping Iran.
We will continue to follow the situation very closely. Reza, thank you so much for speaking with us. It's a great honor to have you. That was Reza, the renowned French-Iranian photographer.